Warning, this video contains intense scenes of horror, suspense, and disturbing imagery that may not be suitable for children under 13. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Some stories are so chilling, so unexplainable, they cling to you like a shadow long after the lights go out. Tonight, we'll uncover 3 terrifying stories, accounts of horror and the unknown that will haunt your dreams. But be warned, not all nightmares end when you wake up. Are you ready? Story 1. The Whispering Willows. Nestled at the edge of a small, forgotten town stood a once charming cottage, embraced by a grove of ancient willows. For years, Elsie had called this house her sanctuary. She had lovingly tended the garden, particularly the vibrant rose bushes that encircled her home, their blossoms a riot of color against the muted tones of the old wooden structure. But over time, whispers began to intrude upon the stillness of her evenings, soft, lilting voices that seemed to emanate from the willow trees. At first, Elsie dismissed the sounds as her imagination or the wind playing tricks. Yet, the whispers persisted, growing more distinct with each passing night. Then, one moonlit evening, she saw them. Spectral children playing beneath the swaying branches, their laughter eerily silent as they wove through the mist. Their translucent forms darted in and out of sight, their pale faces expressionless but somehow knowing. Terrified yet unable to look away, Elsie stayed up night after night, watching the ghostly apparitions. The garden, once her pride, began to wither as she neglected its care, too scared to go outside. The roses became tangled with thorny overgrowth, their petals dull and lifeless. The joy she once found in her home was replaced by an oppressive dread that seeped into every corner of her life. Finally, unable to endure the haunting any longer, Elsie made the heart-wrenching decision to sell the house. She left the overgrown garden and the spectral children behind, moving far away to a bustling city where the shadows seemed less threatening. Yet, even in her new apartment, she sometimes caught a faint whisper on the wind or glimpsed a fleeting shadow at the edge of her vision. She wondered if the willows had truly let her go, or if their whispers would follow her forever. Story 2. The Withering Oak. At the edge of Settler's Hollow stood a lone, aging oak tree. Its broken, overgrown branches scratched the ground like skeletal fingers, and the townsfolk avoided it, whispering of a curse. Legend claimed the tree was haunted by the spirit of a woman accused of witchcraft and hanged there centuries ago. One Halloween night, a group of teens ventured to the oak, daring each other to touch its bark. The air around the tree was cold, and an unnatural stillness hung heavy. As one boy pressed his hand against the rough bark, the wind howled, and the branches trembled violently. A pale figure emerged from the shadows, her hollow eyes burning with fury. The boy stumbled back, but the figure moved with unnatural speed, her hands outstretched like claws. The other kids fled, their screams echoing through the night. By morning, the boy was gone, and the oak stood taller, its branches sturdier and darker than before. The townsfolk found no trace of the boy, but some swore they could see his face etched faintly into the bark, his expression one of eternal terror. The oak tree, it seemed, had claimed another victim, feeding on the living to sustain its unholy existence. Story 3. Whispers from the Well. Behind our house stood an old, forgotten well, its stones cracked and weathered by years of neglect. My mother always warned me to stay away from it, her eyes darting nervously whenever I ventured too close. But as a child, curiosity was a stronger force than fear. One sweltering summer afternoon, I dared to peek inside. At first, all I saw was an inky blackness, the damp air rising from its depths. Then, faintly, as though carried on a breeze that wasn't there, a whisper. My name. It was soft, distant, but unmistakable. Time passed, and I forgot the well, until I moved back home to care for my aging mother. The house was the same, except now the walls felt heavier, the air thick with something unspoken. And then the whispers returned. It started quietly, almost like a dream, a whisper just beyond hearing, floating through the halls at night. But they grew louder, more insistent. Each night the words took shape, but they were broken, fragmented. Help us. "Let us out, it's so cold." The voices were weak, strained, as though they had been calling for too long. One evening, unable to resist, I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside. The well seemed to call me, its shadow stretching across the yard. I shined the light into its depths, but then it caught something that glinted in the dark. Eyes staring up at me, hollow and unblinking. I recoiled, heart hammering, but the whisper returned, urgent now. "Don't leave us." Compelled by something I couldn't explain, I tied a rope to a nearby tree and lowered it into the abyss. The whispers grew frantic as the rope descended, as though something was reaching for it, pleading with a desperation that twisted in my gut. Then abruptly, the voices stopped. I called out into the well, my voice breaking the stillness, but there was no answer. Turning to leave, my hand still clutching the rope, it suddenly jerked tight. Something heavy, pulling from below, tugged at it with unnatural force. My skin burned as I fought to hold on, but the rope slipped from my grasp and vanished into the darkness. That night, as I lay in bed, the whispers returned, closer, louder inside my room. "You set us free," they hissed, their voice low and suffocating. "Now we hunger." Some mysteries defy explanation, leaving us questioning what's real and what lies beyond. If these stories left you with goosebumps, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to A Twisted Mind. New horrors await you every week, so hit that bell icon and join us, if you dare. Sleep tight.